What up, family? Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we want to thank you for joining us for another edition of the Charles Coleman Podcast. I am your host, Charles Coleman. It is so good to have you here for another dope episode. We have a lot to talk about. Looking forward to the conversation today. Before we get started, do yourself a favor and go down, hit that subscribe button on the YouTube. Follow, like, share, all of that. If you are checking us out anywhere where podcasts are found, whether you're on Apple Music, whether you're on Spotify, whether you're on Tidal, whatever it is, make sure you like, subscribe, and share, as well as following us all on the socials. Excited about today's show. You all know what it is. You know the drill. We have an abundance of amazing guests, but even more so than our guests, we have an incredible dream team of contributors. You have come to know them. You've come to love them. And I get a lot of emails. I get a lot of DMs. I get a lot of mentions about the contributors. And one of our favorite members of the dream team is back. You know her, you love her. It's my sister. It's my girl. She's on the couch with us again. She is the boss at 593 Washington Avenue, the professional winner. You know her as Gloria Cherubin. Make some noise.
Brooklyn Blue Smoke.
You and your blue smoke today.
You know, I'm repping my brand today. I had to go heavy on that.
You are brand recognized today.
Yes.
And we love you for it, and we appreciate you for it. You got the extra applause today. Before we get started, I was thinking about, so, you know, I'm in the space of D&I in my, day job, right? Like, I don't just do podcasts for a living, right? Like, even though people do think, and that's the funny thing, right? So now I really can't come to your establishment and do what I like to do. You know me. You know that I like to come, I like to sit, I like to have a cigar and relax. But now, when I come to your establishment, everybody wants to talk to me about the podcast. Like, I was there last night, and it was like 4 or 5 dudes talking over the music. Shout out to Spank Boogie. Spank was playing last night.
Oh, yeah, he was going in.
He was going in, and over the music, yo, I saw what you had did with Kurt and Gloria, and I'm just waiting for you to have me on the podcast. What do you do? I'm an asshole. I talk my... Okay. About what? I can't even get into it. Like, it's just... I mean, but that's the thing about your style. I just am learning to have the Gloria face because I watch you do it. When people come in and he's just talking, you just look at it, you smile and you nod, and I don't know how to do that yet.
The key is the walk-off.
Right, that's what I can't do. I don't know when I could just...
You gotta like get the walk-off in.
I can't get them off.
You gotta engage them. Oh. And then you gotta make it seem like that look. And just move with it. It's just that fast.
I gotta work on that.
You just gotta disappear into the crowd and just move and be committed to it. You can't like stutter step. You can't not be confident with the walk because that walk off makes them feel like, oh, something urgent was happening.
See, I'm the type of friend.
They're not gonna get offended.
I'm the type of friend. One time, me and Cashmere was in there, and you were sitting right there. You know this story. Me and Cashmere were in there, and this dude comes in, and I'm talking to Cashmere, and you know what I'm saying? Me and Kurt just having a conversation, and this dude just comes in. And he's talking about all kinds of craziness. Like, he buying gold in Ghana. He's developing waterfront hotels in the motherland. And Kurt's just sitting there. So I called Kurt on his phone. I'm sitting right next to him. I try to give him an out. You know the whole, oh, yo, I got to take this call. You know, I got to take this call. And he didn't, I don't know why he didn't pick up. I'm like, yo, bro, I gave you the lifeline. You didn't take it. But I got to master the walkaway.
The walkaway. I'm telling you,
the walkaway is
very
key.
Powerful. They're not gonna be offended. It's just gonna be like, oh, now I just put that out there, so now
I put it in the universe.
I'm gonna have to remix
the universe whispered to me and told me go that way.
So now it's just gonna be whatever, you know.
I gotta work on the walkaway. Yo, let's go ahead and get into our shortcuts. This is our conversation about news, our conversation about current events, things that have been trending, things that you may have heard about. Coincidentally, I saw this story in the news and I thought it was really interesting. So in the African nation of Gambia, there is a significant professional sex trade for men.
Right.
A lot of middle-aged women from the United Kingdom and from other parts of Europe frequently vacation in Africa for professional boy toys. And it's a big thing because people make a lot of money.
Right.
And it's part of the sex trade and the men are up. Like, City Boys is up in Gambia. City Boys, they up.
Not City Boys in Gambia.
So, all jokes aside, the tourism industry in Gambia is actually upset. Like, they've gotten to a point where they are trying to crack down and strongly discourage this type of tourism, despite the fact that Gambia is a nation that, like many nations in the motherland, has some significant issues with poverty.
Right.
So this adds to, like, this is helping put food on people's tables. Like, this is helping, for all intents and purposes, the economy.
Right.
Is it backwards to sort of disallow or try to crack down on this sort of industry? Or is it a matter of, in your opinion, like, dignity?
First of all, I don't know if I really believe that they trying to crack down on this whole situation.
You just think they're saying they trying to
I think they saying they trying to crack down on it, but they
Come on to the back. We got you.
But I just feel like they just got a whole new platform to invite more people because I didn't know. So now I'm on the website looking on Gambia to see what these dudes look like to see if this is worth the trip. Now but wait, the flip side of it is
T'Challa.
I don't understand why they upset because it's men. Because I know hella fellas that stay making that trip back and forth to DR for the same type of sexual economy.
What do you mean, culture? I don't.
No, not culture, bro. It's mad dudes that's going to DR to be with these chicks.
I hadn't heard about that.
No, stop. You was there in I'm fronting. But I'm just saying.
Don't do that. Don't do that.
No, we do know that it's a huge, I've had guys sit in my lounge and tell me, these chicks really like me. That's why I be really spending my stop.
Yo, the line is, yo, they love New Yorkers out there.
Right.
They love us. They love Brooklyn is out there. That's the line.
Guys.
They love green money.
Yes. DR is increasing its tourism because of that.
Do you think that our position on it has anything to do with, like, the stigma that we attach to sex work in America?
I mean, I definitely think it is a combination of a number of things, you know what I'm saying? But I think at the end of the day, where Gambia is right now in terms of what are the alternate things to offer? The aquarium, that's what was in the article, bro. Like, come on. Like, we want to drive more people to come to Gambia for the aquarium. I'm not believing it.
Do you think that, like, if the influx of tourists weren't white, do you think that the response would be what it is? Do you think that that plays like a factor?
I think it does play a factor. I think that a lot of when I initially read the article, I kind of felt like the position was, Gambia being a free nation, but yet we're still dependent on this kind of sexual market to kind of maintain our economy because we have nothing. There's no other. These women aren't coming for any other reason.
Yeah.
So I guess at that point, I see the connotation and I can see why it's an egregious act. But at the same time, it's obviously providing for these black men. You know what I'm saying? The question becomes...
And some of their families.
No,
like,
I'm
not
sure.
just for them.
But especially if there's nothing else, if there's no other economy in the place to really kind of sustain their GDP. If their GDP is dingling, then we gonna get this money up. You know what I'm saying?
Gross dingling product. That's maybe what it...
Right.
Gross D product. Grand D product. All right, so would you... I want you to tell the truth.
Right.
Because you talked about the idea of men who often do, engage in overseas sex industry. They support sex economies in other cities, other nations, where it is less taboo.
Right.
Would you, or do you know any women who have?
No, I honestly, I don't know any women who have participated.
So you don't know any Stellas? Because that's the same thing, minus the bread.
Right,
like,
no, I understand that. I definitely understand that. I'm not saying, I don't know of anyone personally.
Yo, the look right now, for those of y'all who are just listening.
Who you are if you didn't tell me.
The look,
all I'm saying
so you have
is
some ask, don't tell.
No.
So you
I'm just saying whatever happens in that country stays in that country. I just don't personally know.
It wasn't your roommate.
It wasn't my, everybody came back.
Come on, man.
I don't know. If I don't know, I don't know what you want. I'm not going to, you want me to lie?
I don't want you to lie,
I'm
but
gonna keep it a buck.
if you
I don't
say
know.
like it wasn't don't ask, don't tell.
I'm just saying I don't know. I'm not saying none of my peoples went away and got digged down. I'm not saying that didn't happen, but it wasn't like they was in the sex market. It was Babo Tunde who was just cool and sexy on the beach, and things happened. That's a very different situation.
That should be
That's
a t-shirt.
not I saved my
Things
money
happened.
to go down there. I think it's a lot easier for women. Whereas men,
of course it is.
Well, that's what I'm saying. So that my people's, most of my friends are pretty like me.
I mean,
I'm
listen,
just saying they don't have to pay.
No, and that is, I don't want to say valid, but it makes sense.
Right.
I don't necessarily know that it's, a matter of women who have to pay to engage in the sex tourism, industry. But trust and believe, y'all going out of town, and if a woman wants to get some action in while she out of town, it's gonna happen.
It's gonna happen. That's what I'm saying. So she doesn't have to pay for it. Versus whole swath of men who are corny in Brooklyn and get to DR. And all of a
they
sudden
love
they're
New
sex
York
items.
niggas out here, son.
We out here on the streets, son.
Going live, playing
Everything.
themselves, and
It's the works.
it's ridiculous.
It's a whole situation.
All right, let's move on. Our favorite segment that is branded by G, where G gets to get her off about what she wants to talk about today. So what we talking about today, branded by G?
Today we're talking about sisterhood. Always, we're gonna go right back to that, but in a different context, right? Okay, so we're gonna talk about like when you're in a relationship, right? You got your man, and we've been together for a few years, and now our friends, we build friends that are like friends of friends. So your friends become my friends. My friends make friends with your friends.
Who gets the friends in the divorce?
Who gets the friends in the divorce?
I really want to talk about this.
I think this is a very important conversation.
Who gets the friends in the divorce?
divorce? I think that, and personally, I feel like, there needs to be a certain level of loyalty. I feel like the friends that I garnered through you, let them rock with you.
Agreed. I cannot stand for me to break up and then I'm looking and like now the ex is like making comments and emojis under people's social media. Cause I'd be wondering like, first of all, who is that for? Is that for me?
Right.
Like, yo, tell me you miss me without.
Subs.
Yeah, tell me you subbing me without telling me you subbing
watching
me.
everything. First of all, I'm cutting all your people off because I don't want you engaged
I don't
in
wanna
any
see
part
you.
of my life.
I'm not looking for you, man.
I be straight mourning people. Like, they not dead, but I be having a whole grief process where I start to detach myself. So everybody in your world has to be annihilated. And you need to let everybody in my world go because you can't try to hold on to the friendships
That's a big fact.
that we forged together in a relationship.
I almost feel like people got to talk about this. Like you got to be very clear. Like, all right, I'm introducing my friends.
Right.
But if this don't work out, they still my friends.
Right.
You got to go.
You got to go. Like, it's got to be real. But I feel like some friends be messy though. Cause they be trying to like hold on. Like, nah, we cool. You're not cool.
Yeah, you don't know them.
You don't even know them.
But for me, you don't know them.
You didn't really get invited to anything. No. I got invited and I brought you with me.
Big facts.
So now that I'm not going anymore, you can't go. So I got this one sister, right? She's notorious for maintaining relationships with the other sister's exes. Like, she be at like Thanksgiving, not even really Thanksgiving, like the New Year's party. The Christmas party, I'd be like, yo, you can't go. You gotta cut that part. Nah, but they cool. Nah, you can't go.
Right.
I had to tell her, like, yo, listen, if any of my people break up, if I ever see you at any of their family events.
You said that sounds very bullyish.
No, it's gotta be bullish. It's gotta be clear, but that's how far it gotta go.
What bothers me about this is I feel like people know this. And I feel like when people violate in that way, like the exes, they're trying you.
Right.
Like they're trying you because they like do something about it.
Right.
And you may be in a space where you're like, you know what, I don't even want to engage you anymore. Like I'm not even trying to come to you to have this conversation and you're baiting me to try to get me into this space.
Right.
And I don't want to be involved. And that, I think, is what makes you even more enraged about it.
Right.
Because it's like, now you really like, you dragging it.
You dragging it. No, real talk. I think that a lot of times when that's happened, the person hasn't really completely let go.
Yeah, for sure.
right? You know,
Because
and
this is their way of staying in touch.
staying in touch, staying connected. So I can't have my friends kind of pulling me back into situations that I don't voluntarily want to be in.
And that becomes tricky, right? Because then they're like, say, oh, well, we have an independent friendship. How?
How, Sway?
How? Where do you have an independent
You don't.
friendship from?
It's not
The
real.
only way you know them is because of me.
It's not real.
Like,
you
whatever
gotta be
you
loyal.
develop is still, yeah, I think that that's the thing.
I think there needs to be a loyalty. It's got to be loyalty.
So you just write a loyalty clause into the contract.
I don't want to even write this out. I think it should be automatically ingrained in who you are as a person. Like, remove yourself if you don't feel like you could just lock in with me and know that if it gets ugly, you rock with me. And this is just what it is in a divorce.
I get it, though. I've been that. That is going to wrap up Branded by G today, one of our favorite segments, and lead us to our main conversation of this episode. I am super excited about our latest installment of Black Brilliance Conversations. As you know, our Black Brilliance Conversations are discussions that we are having with leaders across different industries, movers and shakers, and everybody who you want to hear from. Today, we have a special guest, a super illuminary. We've had some political figures on before, but today we've got someone super duper special that I'm very excited to talk to. I'm just gonna, without further ado, I mean, you know, there are a lot of big names that come out of Texas, a lot of big figures that come out of Texas, but none more recognizable, none more significant, none more important than the guy I've got on the podcast today. We've got the mayor of Houston, y'all. Sylvester Turner is in the building. Sylvester Turner is in the building and on the couch. How are you, sir?
I'm doing fine, Brother Coleman. Thanks for having me today,
Thank you for
man.
being on, man. Before we get started, there was an interesting story. I don't know if your office looked, but if they did, they would have found out. You wrote me it wasn't a proclamation, but it was a letter of acknowledgement and celebration in 2018 because I did a community service project in your city. It was after Hurricane Harvey. I had still been helping
Okay.
people, young men, particularly single men who had not been able to access aid. I did an event down there as part of the Black Superhero Project, and I still have the letter. It's like literally framed on my wall. It's something that I have.
I was honored to write it,
I,
man. And look,
I,
thank you for being in the
I
city.
appreciate that. You know, let's go on and get started, man.
Okay.
This is a conversation that I wanted to have with a number of different Black mayors in particular because people don't understand the significance sometimes of how a mayor really sets the tone for their city.
Mm-hmm.
We're on the heels of everything that happened in Memphis with Tyree Nichols, which of course raises the conversation about law enforcement, community, what it is to be a leader in communities of color. And I just wanted to get your reaction, just in general, to what that was. Not the political reaction, but the reaction as a Black man who leads a city with a significant Black population.
I
I wanted to get your reaction to that.
and I would tell you when I saw the video, it was shocking and it was disturbing. Just as a black man, it was shocking and disturbing. Um, and to be directly candid with you, for black police officers to be
Yeah.
involved, it was very, very disappointing. And it said to me, you know, um, when you devalue life, or if you don't like yourself in many ways, um, then you disrespect and devalue the lives of others, even sometimes the people that look just like yourself. So it was shocking, it was disturbing, and it makes no sense.
You know, you have had to manage a very challenging conversation about law enforcement, about
Hmm.
policing, about police
Right,
violence in your city.
right,
You've also had to deal with the challenge of, I think it was in 2019 and 2020, you all saw the murder rate go up. You guys have since brought it down. You've
right.
been a part of the conversation about allocating more money in general to the police budget, but in specific ways, you guys have been at the center of that. And it's been a discussion. And so I guess my thing is, as you've approached these conversations, as you've approached these challenges, what has been your guiding, like, what's your North Star? What's your guiding ideology about how you move in that direction?
Well, number one, and you are right, I've had to deal with it on both ends.
Right.
When there's been police violence against citizens, I've had to deal with that. And of course, George Floyd come out of city of Houston, CUNY homes right here in the city of Houston. Many of his family members still live here. And so we had put forth a task force on police reforms that came back quickly with 104 recommendations. We've implemented about 91 of them already. So we don't do chokeholds, and you don't just be shooting at vehicles, and you do have a duty and an obligation to respond. And then we put forth these online boards that people can actually see, and that's interactive. File a complaint. You don't have to go to the police station. You can file a complaint, for example, with the NAACP or at the LGBT office. So we want to make it accessible and make things transparent. And then at the same time, I've had to be on the other end where there's violence against other people in the community, not involving the police, just people shooting and
Yeah.
killing one another. So I have to deal with that. My North Star for me, Brother Coleman, is I call a ball and a strike a strike. Okay. And I call it as I see it. And it's important for us to hold each one accountable and not hide anything from people,
Yeah.
not try to delay anything. And that's the way I look at it. I mean, look, I grew up in the hood. I still live in the same hood in which I was born and reared. Okay. So, but I call a ball and a strike a strike. And that's the way I look at it. That's where I see
So
it.
one thing that I think your city has, for better or for worse, particularly in the past 10 years, Houston was always a sort of hot spot in the hip hop community. But in the past couple of years, Houston has exploded in terms of the amount of attention and interest that it gets as a city from the hip hop community. You got Drake coming down there. That boy may have a house there. I don't know. He's down
Yeah,
there
he
all the
still, he
time.
still quite a bit. Yeah,
He's out there. You have obviously Jay Prince has been a person who's a personality who's been in that space
right.
for a while. And then of course you
Prince
have,
and his family.
yeah, and of course you have your Slim Thugs, you have your UGK, you have your Bun B, all of those
Power.
people, right? You have all of those
Right,
people, in addition to, of
right.
course, your legends like Scarface, Willie D. It goes on.
All of them. All of them.
Do you think that the new influx of sort of attention around Houston, its reputation, do you think that it gives Houston, or gives outsiders an impression of your city that you're not necessarily comfortable with? Or are you kind of sort of like not worried about it? Do you think that that has any impact in terms of how outsiders view your city?
No, look, I grew up with many of these folks. Slim Thug and I, for example, come out of the same community. Acres home north side of the Fofo. Um, I was the first mayor to bring the city home to meet with me about 25 of them
Mhm.
sitting around the table saying, help me to move this city forward. And they came forth with a lot of good ideas. I asked for their direct involvement, their direct participation. We are a very diverse city, and not just in terms of ethnicity, but in terms of culture, in terms of music, and where people come from. And they play a vital role in our city. So I don't have a problem with that. Um, it is important. You don't want people hurt. You don't want people committing violence and anything of that nature. But they can reach some folks that I can't reach.
Yeah.
And people will listen to them in many ways before they listen to me. And so it's important from my vantage point to bring them in, to integrate them in terms of where their city is, where their city is going, and to make sure that we reach every segment within our city because everybody is important. Everybody can contribute, and we are not the same
I think
on so many different levels.
I think
So no, I'm cool with that.
I think you raise an interesting point when you start talking about the fact that they can reach people that you can't.
Right.
And the reason I bring that up is because there's another conversation that I'm having with you and other black elected officials about particularly black male engagement in the civic process. There is a very valid there's a very
Hmm.
valid sentiment among black men, particularly heterosexual black men, that, in large part, they don't feel seen at the national level, in democratic politics, at the national level. And because of the way that politics are sold to us, in terms of our mindset doesn't always appreciate that all politics are local. And our mindset does not always appreciate the fact that when you don't participate in state and local elections, you do yourself a disservice because that's where you're going to get the most bang for your buck. That trickle down for the national discourse can affect engagement and participation at the local level. I've seen some of the numbers out of the city of Houston, but when
Hmm.
you talk about that sort of engagement and being able to use other people as surrogates or as people who will help get your message out, how do you approach that conversation about voting? Because there are a lot of black men who feel like, look, the current agendas of either party don't speak to me. They don't necessarily do anything for me. So you're the mayor in their city. What's your conversation with them?
Well, my conversation with them is there's a place for black men if we're going to just focus right now on that group at the table. I'm a brother sitting at the table.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, no one is just going to um, uh, just wait on people to come. It's important for me as mayor of this city to reach out to other brothers and to invite them and to seek their input and their participation. And I do that all the time. Some of my directors, for example, are brothers, black men, okay? And people that I put on boards and commissions are black men. My brother's keeper that I invest in is geared towards men of color and young men of color, and I encourage them to participate at every level. So I think, Charles, me be a little bit more specific when it comes to economic
Yeah.
empowerment. Okay, you want to make sure that you are supporting these entrepreneurs and encouraging people to be entrepreneurs. You want to make sure that you provide brothers with the workforce experiences that they need to take advantage of the opportunities that are coming into our city. It's important for me not to just stay here at City Hall, but to go out in the community, talk to them, have real talk conversations with
Yeah.
them. That's important. That's one of the reasons why I've elected to stay right in the neighborhood that I was born and reared, so that they can see examples that you can come through and still navigate and go to the next level. So I can't speak in a sense to what's happening on the national level,
Sure. Well, you could.
but I
You could.
well I
I
could,
understand
but
you may
what
not.
I'm
I understand you may not want to, or you may choose not to, but you could. But I'm.
well, but it is important to encourage black men, okay, to get engaged, and it's important for us to talk directly to them, okay, not over them, not
Yeah.
around them, not miss them, but to talk directly to them,
And I think that that's.
and even in our
And I
politics.
think that that's a big part of what is not happening that makes people not engage, is that no one or very few people feel like they're being spoken to. I think that there is a sense that they may be spoken about, they may be spoken around, or they may be spoken at, but they're not talked to as part of the conversation. And I think that what you're talking about from an engagement standpoint is very important because it is the linchpin that is going to make the connection for people to feel like, number one, not only am I seen, but I actually have a place in this space. So you've been mayor for, like you said, 8 years now.
Going to my 8th year. This
But
is my final year.
2023, you've had an opportunity to see a lot of different things in Houston. A lot of things change, a lot of things happen, a lot of things take
Right.
place. And you've also learned a lot of lessons. Like nobody comes on the job knowing everything about what it is to be mayor. I have a couple questions about that. Number one, but these are kind of sort of rapid fire. Do you have any regrets? Do
Okay.
you have any regrets?
No. I've enjoyed every bit of it, the good and the bad and the ugly.
Number two, what's been your biggest lesson over the
That
8 years you've been mayor? What's been your biggest lesson?
that what you can't prevent or foresee, you simply have to learn to manage.
That's probably
Because stuff will come from every direction. And there are a lot of things that will happen you couldn't stop, you couldn't prevent, you couldn't foresee. But when it does happen on your watch, you have to manage it.
no one is perfect, and I think no one expects perfection. But given everything that you've learned and done throughout your tenure, what's the one thing in 2023 that you want to end right on, that you feel like, you know what, we can really do that a little bit better, and I want to make sure that I go out and don't leave this office without improving this thing? What is that?
I've said to my team, my executive team, 2023 is the year of implementation, getting it done. It's not trying to come up with a lot of new stuff.
Okay, the wheel is already
About,
built.
for example, 3 weeks ago, we cut the ribbon on this A-Leaf multi neighborhood center. They've been waiting on it for some 27 years. And cut the ribbon, it will transform that community. That was 3 weeks ago. This past Saturday, we cut the ribbon on the Sunnyside neighborhood multi-service and health center. This black community, they've been waiting on it for a long, long time. Cut the ribbon, doors are open. We're going to significantly enhance 22 neighborhood parks, not those signature parks in our city, but parks in these communities, 22 of them in this year alone. I put together what we call complete communities. I said when I came in as mayor 8 years ago, I didn't want to be the mayor of two cities in one, have and have nots. So we've been investing resources into these communities. So yeah, it's not just about putting money in police. It's about also focusing in a laser way these communities that have been underserved and under-resourced, putting money in there. We want to get those projects in those communities done. And in some cases, it won't be completed, but we will have planted the seed for its growth and development. So 2023 for me is the year of execution and implementation, getting it done before I leave, so people can see in a very visual way what we've been talking about for the last several years. That's important for me.
And this is a follow-up to, you mentioned it and it kind of popped in my head. The conversation about police funding is one that has generated a lot of discussion. It's not so much a discussion now as it was in the wake of George Floyd's death.
Right.
The conversation
Right.
about funding the police was a much bigger discussion. But again, Houston having increased its budget in response to a surge in violent crime was at the forefront of the conversation. I was always one who said everything is about context. So on one hand, you could say Houston increased its budget for policing, but on the other hand, you have to understand where that money went and how that money was allocated. Can you talk a little bit about that context so that people on the right don't say, oh, it's all about how much money we give to policing, and then people on the left also don't say, oh, all they want to do is throw money at police and make that the solution to the problem. Can you add some context to how that
Yeah,
money
because
was allocated?
it's a much bigger context. When I came in as mayor 7.5 years ago, for example, we needed more police in the city of Houston. We had about 5,100 police officers covering 640 square miles. In comparison, for example, Chicago has about 12,000 covering 275 miles. So we needed more. And then the reality is that in the context of us funding more, the police department is a part of an overall initiative that I put in place called One Safe Houston. It's not just about boots on the ground overtime for police. It's about the utilization of technology. It's about the gun buyback program. And the city of Houston has had the biggest one-day gun buyback program in the country. So it's about getting these guns off the
But are
street.
those
It's
effective
about
though? Are gun buyback programs really effective?
you have to view it in terms of all of the tools. Standing alone, it's not as effective, but when you combine all of the tools, technology, gun buybacks, my reentry program, when people come out of prison or coming back into the streets, they need housing and they need
Yeah.
employment. And so we're investing dollars in the reentry program. That's a part of it. Crisis intervention. The police are having to respond to way too many calls when they are not the best source for a person that's in crisis. Mental behavioral health issues, substance abuse,
Right.
homelessness. So we are putting a lot of money into those areas and redirecting the calls away from police to the services and the people who can best handle their crisis. Domestic abuse and violence. We're investing more money in those areas. So it's a holistic approach. So yes, more money in police. But at the same time, my Hire Houston Youth program that focuses on young folk from the ages of 16 to 24, many of them males, many of them black males, providing summer jobs, paid jobs for them this summer in 2023. The goal is to provide 20,000 paid summer internship jobs for that group between the ages of 16 to 24. When I came into office, Brother Coleman, we were offering 450 jobs. 2023 will be 20,000. And then our community messages program. There are a lot of other community programs that we're investing in. And then I mentioned to you complete communities, identifying 10 neighborhoods in our city that have been underserved and under-resourced for decades, like the one I grew up in. So it's the holistic approach. So yes, more funding in police, but it takes police and the community working together to make a very safe city.
Brother Turner, we've had an amazing conversation, and I really do appreciate your time. But I do have one last question.
Okay, all right.
You're in a city where the voice of that city is very different, or can be very different than some of the larger voices in your state that represent your state on a larger level,
Right.
on a statewide level and on a national level. How do you manage that in terms of having conversations with people who politically, in terms of your ideology, you may not be aligned with? You may not be aligned with the Ted Cruz. You may not be aligned all the time with the Governor Abbott. How do you manage that and those relationships to the betterment of your city?
That has been tough. That's probably been the most challenging set of circumstances that I've faced since I've been mayor, because we've not had a great deal of support from the state, and sometimes they've been more of a hindrance or imposed stumbling blocks than a bridge, and at times same thing on the national level. Um, but what I've said to my team, and this is the way I've operated my entire life, I can sit there complaining, or I can find ways to get around that stump. And my daddy used to tell this
Well,
story
you
about,
could put the pause on them. You could do that too.
well, yeah, but when people are in need, let me put it this way: when people in your city or in the community are in need, and they come to you, they are looking for you to meet their need.
Mhm.
You can spend all your time saying, if we had a different governor, or we had a different legislature. Brother Coleman, they don't want to hear that.
That's That's a fact.
When people are
That's a
hurting
fact.
and when people are in need and they come into you, and you, in this case, I'm the mayor, they're expecting me to find a way to meet their need. And like I told my team, let's find a way. Let's be creative. Let's be innovative. Let's try to make this happen. I can explain to them later about the value of voting and participating, but it's right now it's important for us to find a way to meet their need. If we meet their need, then we can go back to them and say, I could have done this more or better or sooner if I had different players at another level. And that's what I've learned in my time in public service. When folk come to you, don't send them away. Don't say I can't do anything. Or if you all had voted, or if you all had voted differently,
Nobody wants to hear that.
things would.
Nobody wants to hear
They don't want to hear that. They don't want to hear that crap. They don't want to hear that. So, and that's what I would tell any elected official, and especially people that look like me. What I've said to other mayors, don't get frustrated when they come and you figure and you say, if things had voted, if the outcome of the election had been different, it couldn't. No, they don't want to hear that.
Right.
They don't want to hear that because we're in these seats, and especially for African American mayors. When African Americans become mayors, the people who voted for them, who placed their trust in them, they want us to solve the problems right now.
They want results.
But look, they may have given another white mayor a longer time. But when we come
Expectations is different.
their expectations are higher. They expect you to understand their condition, why their conditions have been like this for a long time, and they want results, and they want them sooner. So they don't give us much of a runway. They don't do that. And instead of getting frustrated with them, we have to understand, and we have to find ways. And that's why I chose to stay in the same neighborhood. I was at the gas station. I have my mayor's detail, but I was on Saturday, and I wanted to drive my own car. I wanted to drive my own truck. So I got in a truck, didn't have enough gas in it, so I went to the local gas station, and I was pumping my gas. And this guy was walking towards me. I saw him walking, and I put my hand, one hand was on the gas pump, my other hand was in my pocket, and I act like I had something, because, so he was walking slowly, and he walked past me, and then he stopped and turned back to me. So I really put my hand in my pocket like I had a weapon or something, And I said, damn, where's my detail now, So he comes up to me, and he said, hey, well, what's your name, man? So I said, why are you asking me my name? So he said, no, what's your name? He said, you look like the mayor. So I said, man, hell, I am the mayor. I am the mayor. You know what he said to me? He said, why are you in this neighborhood?
Mm.
I said, man, I grew up right down the street. He said, well, I know you. The mayor grew up in Eggleston, but I thought you'd be living someplace else. So I said, no, man, I'm still living right here. I'm still living right here. And then he says to me, much respect. Like Brother Gray, he pumped me, and he said, much respect, brother. And he walked away. And I said to myself, that's why it's important for us as leaders to find ways to still show our connectiveness to the communities that we serve, not just in words, but people want to see in a very personal, tangible way our connectiveness to the communities that we are seeking to represent. And then they'll give us a little more time in order to make the changes. So we've got to find ways to buy just a little more time. So when things do happen, and shit happens like, Tyree and others, then they'll be willing, when we say, look, we're trying to work it out.
They understand the truth.
Yeah. So those are the things that for me that I reflect on, and it's not just what you say, it's what you do, it's where you live. All of those things are important. They want to be able to touch you, feel you, look in your eyes, and when they look into your eyes, they'll know whether or not you care. They'll know, and especially in this case, brothers will know.
Oh, yeah.
They'll know whether or not you talking just to be talking or you care.
Well, he's the man, and he is the man. Sylvester Turner has been on the couch with us, and I want to thank you for joining us for Black Brilliance Conversations on the Charles Coleman podcast.
Thanks, man.
You are all right for our alpha, brother. I appreciate you. I appreciate you having been on. Thank you so much for your time and for your work and for your effort. We really do appreciate you, and it is an honor and a pleasure to have had you on the Charles Coleman podcast. Welcome back. This is another edition, another dimension, another element to the Charles Coleman podcast. This is Charles Coleman podcast after hours on the couch. I got my man CEO on the couch, Digital Short, doing something a little different here. 5 questions with DJ CEO.
Oh, okay. Let's get to it.
Yeah, 5 questions with DJ CEO.
Okay.
These are things that I don't know. So this is very good time for me to get to know my man at the same time you are. Number 1, where did the name come from? DJ CEO, where did the name come from?
Okay, I'm going to try to give you the short of the long.
Okay.
So, as you may know, I do have a background in rhyming. I used to go by the name Chief Rock. Right. So when I started out DJing, I was using that. But once I decided to incorporate style into my branding, how I marketed myself, I knew that name couldn't work anymore. It just didn't match. And at the time, I had my own production company for television and film, which I was the CEO of. So I just went ahead and said, I'm just calling myself DJ CEO. And it stuck and it worked.
Like it. I did not know that. I didn't know that story.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I didn't know that story. And it actually works. Have you ever encountered, this is not question 2, but I still gotta ask. Have you ever run into like another DJ CEO?
There are a couple out there.
I've seen them. I wasn't gonna bring it up.
Nah, there's a couple. One, which is sort of weird. You know how we from? Like you see somebody that got on the same fit. Like you're not about to go like talk to them like yo, you don't do that. So there was this DJ CEO. He's in Canada. I forgot where exactly in Canada. He reached out to me. He was like, "Yo, another CEO," and I was like, "Fam." He was super cool. And I was like, whatever. But I've seen other ones that the name don't even fit.
It doesn't match the name. The name doesn't match the brand.
Yeah, and they're not putting in the same work I am, so I'm not really.
Question 2. What's one party, one venue, one event, one person that you would love to DJ for, one party you would love to rock, like somewhere, like what is the ultimate gig for DJ CEO?
I would love to DJ a party that had, and this is not possible because many of them have passed on, but had like all my musical heroes in it, right? So like
that they were there.
Yeah, they were there.
Okay.
Because I have such a profound respect for their artistry.
You would want to
I would want them to see how they receive my artistry, right? So close, Big would be in that. The Temptations would be in that. Marvin Gaye would be in that.
You still got Stevie Wonder.
No, I got Stevie Wonder. Jay and Quincy Jones.
Okay.
Like for them to be like, because they hear differently. People who are in it, they hear differently. So that would be, and of course, Jazzy Jeff, who is the reason why I became.
So that was going to be my next. That was going to be one of my questions.
Yeah.
I want to shift gears and talk style and performance for a quick second. Give me your DJ CEO's 3 fashion basics. Because you know what I'm saying? Like, this is advanced work we get. We get advanced work here on the couch. I mean, I've this is what we do.
Right.
But for somebody who's just getting started, like, oh, I watch the podcast, I see how CEO does his thing, I like how he gives it up. Where would you start though?
I would tell
3.
For me, it would be a statement piece. Like you have to have something that's gonna stand out. You can't just come in just in a suit, right? Just a black suit or blue suit or whatever. Like it has to be a statement piece. You don't want to look like you just got off the mannequin, or you know what I'm saying. You want to have a statement piece that kind of kicks off your outfit. So it could be your top, which everybody will see because when you're DJing, they will really see your bottom. So it would be a top. You start off with a statement piece. You always want to make sure you accessorize, either a bracelet, a ring, a necklace, something of that sort. And then lastly, it's something that you can't buy, and that's the confidence. Like you have to buy into what you have to believe in what you're doing. You can't be like, oh, I'm gonna dress nice and I hope these people like it.
You gotta believe before anybody else does.
You have to dress with conviction.
I believe that when it comes to style, that's my thing. If I don't, regardless of how good it might look to somebody else, if I don't feel good in it, I'm not wearing it.
Yep.
Because if I don't believe it, nobody else is gonna believe it. Yep. So that's a definite thing for me. Question number 4, and you kind of sort of talked about this a little bit, but I'm gonna switch it on you. You have an opportunity to learn one skill from one of the following 3 DJs.
Okay.
You can learn to scratch from DJ Scratch. You can learn to flash from Grandmaster Flash. Or you can learn to mix. Basically, and when I say mix, you know what I mean, but I'm just for the people out there, like
blending,
transitioning, like the intangibles of DJing from DJ Jazzy Jeff. Who do you pick? Because I know Jeff is your inspiration, but I know you.
That is tough.
I know. I know DJ Jazzy Jeff is your inspiration, but I know how much of a fan you are of Scratch and Flash.
Right. Yeah.
So these are the Mount Rushmore of DJ culture. So I need to know one skill from who.
It's very interesting because I've met Jeff a couple times, but he's clearly my inspiration. I've been on the same bill as Scratch, and I've DJed for Flash in his house. So.
Those are mad flexes, y'all. Did y'all just beat the amount of flex that he just dropped on that one sentence?
So, but I would probably...
I played golf with Obama, but I've also hunted with Bill Clinton, and then, Donald Trump calls me for tax advice. Like, what?
No, I would say scratch from scratch, because the skill set that I already possess... the endless juice from editing them is like amazing. But the skills I already possess, I don't feel like anybody does what I do better than me.
Okay.
But scratching is something that I'm okay at, like I'm good at. But like Scratch is a master. Like he is a master at it, and so I would love to really learn how to do that on that level.
Mess around, he might call you. You never know where this is gonna end up. So mess around, you might end up.
Hey, Flash, you got the number. It's still on your phone. Holla at me.
Yeah, there it is. Last question for DJ CEO on the couch after dark. Let's talk Miss CEO real quick. Let's talk Miss DJ CEO real quick.
Okay.
Gotta love her. Got a lot of love for her. Shout out to Shereen the Queen. Have you ever had a mix that you did for her? Because I know you do mixes. I know you do. But she told you shit was whack.
Nah, never that. I'm never whack. But she has told me on a couple times, like, yo, I need you to switch it up. Like, you're becoming predictable.
Okay.
I know you're going to go to this mix, whatever. So I want you to kind of, like, mix it up and really kind of dig. And
how you feel about that? Because she's not a DJ.
I appreciate it. No, but she's a music lover. She's a music head. She's grown up around DJs. She's low-key, like, hip-hop royalty adjacent.
Okay.
So I have a ton of respect for her opinion on these matters. So she knows, and she knows how I am. So she's like, "Nah, you're getting too comfortable. I need you to kind of like step it up or like switch it up." So,
bonus question: Are you more sensitive for how to critique your DJing or your style?
Oh, definitely my style. Definitely my style.
That's what I thought you would say.
Definitely no, because
that's what I thought you would say.
We're equals on as far as like our love and our passion for music, and we're pretty much kind of equals when it comes to style. But its style's a little more personal.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
So you kind of feel a DJ is professional, like, oh, my job. All right, cool.
Like at the end of the day, no matter how much I appreciate a pastor, I'll always shut it down. You don't do this. Like
Right. But when it comes to style, you like, damn.
Yeah.
Nah, let me do what I do.
Yeah.
Well, that's been 5 questions with DJ CEO on the Charles Coleman Podcast, on the couch after dark. Make sure you are following us on the socials because this is where you get the extra content. This is where you get the extra stuff. This is where you get to learn about our contributors. My name is Charles Coleman. This is DJ CEO. We'll see you soon. Peace.